Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's going to be part 2 of the Game Gear fix. So basically, just to give you a quick update in case you haven't seen part 1, what's happened is I've bought 2 Game Gears from eBay for, I can't remember what it was now, I'll add it up on the screen here, it was 20 something pounds, and basically I managed to get the first one working in part 1. I had to change all the capacitors, including the soundboard, so basically when I got it, it had a very dull screen. When I got it, it was completely dead, and that's because the battery terminals in the back were completely corroded. So if you have a look here, it was this one here, there was springs missing, everything was missing, so that it had very leaky batteries at some stage. So I've put a new back on it from a donor one, and then I had to change the capacitors in the soundboard to have it sound, because you could barely hear the sound. Also the screen was really dim, so I had to change all the capacitors to make the screen nice and bright again. Then it had horizontal lines across it, and what I had to do to fix that was basically put pressure on the chip on this side. You can just see, if you look closely, very closely, you can see it sort of bulging out a little bit here. Probably can't notice it through the camera, but it's up there about 1 millimeter, and by putting pressure on it there, it's actually got rid of the lines across the screen. So at this moment in time, I have got a working Game Gear with plenty of sound. Yeah, so that was good, but it took a lot of work to fix that. So now with this one here, I'm from memory, when I turned it on to begin with, it had a flashing red light and it was just completely dead. I tried the power board, a known working power board, and it still had a flashing light and it was dead. So let's plug it in now. It also had problems with the battery connection as well. One of them's got a rusty terminal, so it doesn't always make a good contact. So I'm going to have to sort that out before I can do anything else. Let's just see if there's any power in this. Alright, so turn it on. No, okay, so there's no power in this at the moment, and I've got batteries in it, and I think it's because of that bad contact. There's one of them's got a bad contact in. I think it's this one here. Yeah, it doesn't look that bad, but I think it's just a little bit rusty, just right in the place where the battery connects. So I'm just going to clean that up now, and then we'll test it again. Right, that bit of rust is right in the wrong place because it's just where that positive bit taps. So I'm not sure if it's going to make the connection this time either. Let's see. Thought that red light came on just as I started to turn it off. It's definitely the screen's definitely lighting up when I do it. So when I first of all turned this on, it definitely had a red flashing light, but now there's nothing. Right, okay. I am going to turn it off, turn it on again. I'm going to measure, see if we've got voltage anywhere. So there's 6 AA batteries, they're 1.5 volts each, so there should be 9 volts here. I think with these rechargeable ones, they're only 1.2 volts though, but they're definitely working in my other Game Gear which works. So let's have a look. Have we got anything here? Yeah, 7.7 volts, so there's definitely voltage coming out of the batteries. Right, okay, there's definitely a light on the screen, but that power light's not on. Okay, what I'm going to do is turn it off. I'm just going to change the power board with another one. Notice same thing again. So the screen's definitely lighting up, but there's no power there. Yeah, 7.64. Right, okay. I'm going to put some other batteries in it just in case it is something to do with the voltage. Right, okay, so there's definitely an issue there with the power light not coming on. So I'm just going to put my ear right up to it just to hear if I can hear any music. No. Okay, so apart from the screen lighting up, it does appear to be completely dead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart and I'm going to give it a really good clean, try to get rid of any corrosion. So I'm going to be using this IPA cleaner, which is 99.9% alcohol, and I'm going to be just basically using a toothbrush and just going across all the components, just in case there's like some kind of build-up of corrosion or something that's stopping something from working. So I know when I did that on the last board, it was absolutely, you know, it was saturated, so it's not going to do it any harm. To begin with, I'm going to take it completely off, just in case there's corrosion on the other side. Well, this is certainly not like the other board. It does look remarkably clean. Oh, actually, no, look, it's wet up here. Can you see? Look at my finger. Up here, it's wet. There's definitely some build-up up there. Let's have a look at this side now. It looks good, but you can see some of the capacitors there. If you look at that one there, you can see that there's gunk in it. Yeah, on one of the pins there, the one this side here. Well, in my opinion, it doesn't look bad. Yes, the capacitors, some of them don't look great, but on the others, they've looked much worse, and yet they've done, you know, they've actually played a bit of the game. You can hear the game playing in the background, you just can't see it. While with this one, it's completely dead. Well, it's not completely dead, the screen lights up, but there's no, you know, the LED over here doesn't come on, and there doesn't appear to be any noise or anything. Well, okay, I'm going to give this a good clean. Now all the alcohol's dried off, so what I want to do is I just want to connect it all back up again. Excellent, I've got the red light. Brilliant, I got a red light. Excellent, so it was just a big clean-up that needed. Right, okay, let's see if we can see or hear anything. I can. And I can hear. But it's very faint. Excellent, I can hear Wonder Boy. I can just barely see it, look. And listen. So now, it sounds like it's just going to need its capacitors changing. What a result! I didn't dream that just cleaning that up would actually work, but it did. Look at that, it looks good from that angle. Oh, that's brilliant news. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily put it back together and just to see. In fact, that screen's looking. No, it's definitely capacitors have definitely gone there. I'm going to just put it back together. It's amazing that it looks perfect under the camera, but when you go there you can't see it at all. I'm going to put it back together because I just want to make sure that the D-pad and stuff's working, the buttons are working, and then I'll have to order myself up a capacitor kit. I'm so pleased with that. I can't believe by just cleaning it. So obviously something was shorting out somewhere through just like you know, corrosion or grime or something. I don't know. That's brilliant. Right, okay. Right, okay, so it's back together just temporarily. I haven't put any screws in it, so let's oh, I haven't got any gaming. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. I mean, that's a classic capacitor issue, isn't it? I'm going to put in the headphones just to see if there's any sound coming out of there. That seems to have crashed. Let me try that again. Yeah, there's definitely sound coming through here. Right, so it's the speaker that's faulty. Not the speaker, sorry, the capacitor that deals with the speaker. Somebody did say online which one that is, so I might be able to just change that one rather than changing all the capacitors there. And you can hear it now. Good news is there's no pixels lost on the screen from what I can see, and there's no black lines or vertical lines, so maybe this might be the screen that will be the best out of all of them. So I'm just going to check the D-pad now on the buttons. Okay, there's a lot of kind of blurring, but I presume that's probably because of the capacitors. Right, okay, well, yeah, that's it. I just need to order up some capacitors, change them over, and I might be lucky with this one here. I can see that you can also get new replacement screens here as well, because it's really scratched up. So, you know, I might look into that. I'm not sure whether it's worth spending the money on it, but it would probably make it nicer. But the rest of the case is quite scratched. But you never know, with a clean, it might look a lot better. Right, okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to order up some capacitors, and hopefully might be lucky with this one. So I'll come back to this video later. Okay, so it's later in the week, and I have got my kit from eBay. Came to £6. They divided it up into 3 separate bags, which makes it a little bit easier to sort through the capacitors. So we've got the power board kit, so that's going to be over here. We've got the soundboard kit, that's for this one here. And then we've got the main board capacitor kit. So although they're not all going to be faulty, I am just going to replace all of them, because if I just change one, test it, change another, test it, it's going to take a lot of time putting it all back together. So I might as well just replace them all, because chances are, if some of them are leaked, it's not long before others are going to leak as well. So the price of them, £6, it's kind of worth doing it. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm just going to be fast forwarding through the whole soldering process. Probably take me, in all honesty, probably well over an hour to do. So yeah, once I've finished, I will then bring the video back to normal speed and we'll test it. And I'm hoping on this one that the LCD is going to be good. I'm hoping that this will be a working Game Gear, which will be nice. So that's all the soldering done. So it takes quite a bit of time because there's a lot to solder in here. Now what you have to do is, if you're going to do this yourself, you have to make sure that you keep these gold bits free, yeah? Because if you look at, for example, the back that goes on it, you can see that they're like the screw posts, so you have to keep them all clear of these bits here, otherwise you're going to end up screwing into your capacitors and they're going to get in the way. As well as that, when you're doing it, you've got to make sure it doesn't short against any other components, because a lot of them can be very close to other things. That's, for example, if you see this one here, you wouldn't want that to short against the backlight there. But there's loads of instances like that. So basically what I've done is I've kind of put them on and then I've folded them back on themselves to try to keep them out of the way of the other components. Some of them there's not a lot of room. It's never going to look as neat as it did originally because the capacitors are like a different size. But you know, as long as they do the job, remember none of that's going to be seen, but I still try to keep it as neat as possible. And this is the soundboard here. This is even harder because you have to kind of rearrange them. As well as that, it's good to keep them as flat as possible. Otherwise, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to cut a bit out of this, which you might not want to do. And this is the power board here. That should be fine because the ones that were in here were quite big capacitors to begin with. Right, so now it's just a case of putting it all back together. Now, if you're wondering how to know what capacitor to change it with, if you look at these ones here, for example, if you look at this one, this would be 100 UF at 4 volts. This one will be 33 UF at 6.3 volts. But when it comes to the voltage, as long as you don't go for a lower voltage, it's fine. So for example, a lot of these ones in the pack might be like 33 volts. It might be 33 microfarads at 10 volts. These ones here are a bit different. These are actually 0.47 at 50 volts. Again, it doesn't matter if the voltage is higher, but don't go for a lower voltage. So for example, don't put a 10 volt one in there. That would have to be 50 volts or above. But higher voltage doesn't matter as long as you don't go below the stated voltage. So that'd be 4.7 microfarads at 35 volts. You get the idea. Now to get these off, what you have to do is you have to get your tweezers or whatever you're using, and basically you have to wiggle them. So when they're on the board, they're glued down. So first of all you have to snap them like that, and then what I do is I then fold them over, and that gives me access to the legs. Now most of them were okay, but some of them you can tell if there's like a horrible fishy smell. I think that's the electrolyte on the inside leaking out. And when it leaks out, you can often find that the pads you're going onto might be kind of tarnished, so they might be a very dull colour and look a bit bumpy, and the solder won't stick to it. So what I've been doing is I've been taking them off and I've been rubbing each of them with a bit of IPA, you know, the 99.9% alcohol, this stuff here. And then I've been cleaning it, you know, just drying it, and then I've been getting some flux. I've been just rubbing them with a dry iron to begin with, the soldering iron, and then I, if needed to, would clean it again. Then I would apply more flux, then solder to it, and normally then that will make it nice and shiny again because it won't stick if it's all like discoloured. So that's it. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting it all back together, and hopefully it might be a working Game Gear. Right, okay, I'm trying to put it back together, but it's a very tight fit here, and it's because the capacitors stick up more than the previous capacitors. So what's happening is it's fouling against this bit here. So I'm just trying to rearrange them to get them in the best spot. But it doesn't seem to matter where I go, they just seem to be in the way. I mean, I can close it, it is going to close. It's just that this side shuts nicely, you can see it wants to go together. But with this side here, you see if I just rest it there, you can see that in the middle part here is sticking up. So it's roughly around here that is fouling. It's strange because when I did the other ones I didn't notice that that was a problem. They went in and I didn't have to do any rearranging. Okay, I'm not completely happy with that, but it will go together when I close it. I'm wondering, because this is a different back, I think, from this one, because the original one had all the rusty springs. I'm wondering if over time it's warped ever so slightly. So I'm going to do it up and see what it looks like, because I can't rearrange them anymore, and I can't actually work out exactly where it's fouling. So I'm not going to take the circuit board out to see if it's fouling, you know, with the casing. So I'm just going to go with it. Right, okay, I'm happy with that. It's sealed all the way round. This bit here, there's a little bit of give there, you can see here, but it's only about a fraction of a millimetre, so it's not that big a deal. Right, okay, so I'm going to put some batteries in this. I haven't got a power adapter for it because I looked up, and basically my Master System and Mega Drive has a different polarity. I believe it's negative on the inside and positive on the outside, you know, with the little plug you put in here, which is the opposite one to this. So some Mega Drive ones will fit this, but you need to double check because different models of Mega Drive will not automatically fit this because the polarity will be reversed. So I'm going to be running it off batteries, which really is probably going to be the easiest way to play it anyway, especially if they're rechargeable, because you're not worried about it running out every few hours. Well, obviously they're going to run out, but what I mean is you can charge them up again. You're not going to spend a fortune on batteries. Well, I'm going to get a game and turn the lights off. Right, I've treated myself to some new games. So let's try Micro Machines. Bigger cart as well, look at it sticking up the top. Right, here we go. Let's see if it's going to work. Okay, well it's certainly bright. Right, there's nothing there. That might be the cartridge. I haven't tried these ones before. Let's try it again. Yeah, here we go. Oh, that's perfect. Right, check the volume. Yeah. Okay, you can see the contrast is working. Right, okay, yeah, when I look at that, that looks like I believe it should look. Oh, you can play two players on the one Game Gear. Oh, that's good. So one plays like this and one plays like that. I'll have to try that out later. Alright, that screen's perfect. Right, let me move the camera so I can show you it the way I see it rather than holding it at an angle. So there we go, the ruler over the tables on Micro Machines. So as you can see, the screen is perfect. Now with this one, obviously you're looking at the screen and it doesn't look very good because you're used to screens nowadays, but you need to remember when this came out. And although the viewing angle is awful, that is as good as the Game Gear screen is going to get. So I am very happy with that, and I think that was a bit of a result. So as you can see on this one, I kind of got lucky. It just needed a real good clean and changing the capacitors over. So yeah, really happy with those fixes there, and it's nice to have a Game Gear that's working without pixels or without the worry that in a few weeks lines are going to come across it. Obviously the screen can go faulty at any time, but at this moment in time it looks absolutely perfect. So I'm hoping that I might get a bit of use out of this before it fails. Right, okay, so yeah, that is it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more trying to fix videos. Take care, bye now.